The deep waters of the ocean are the largest habitat for life on Earth, but they're also the least explored, especially the Mariana Trench, a crescent-shaped trench in the western Pacific Ocean. What kind of wonders are waiting for us down there? Trust us, it's stranger than you think. Here are 15 recent mysterious things found in the Mariana Trench. Number 15. Biotwang. Recently, researchers discovered an eerie extraterrestrial sound in the deepest part of the ocean. The recording released has an unusual booming sound with deep moans at low frequencies and a metallic finale at extremely high frequencies. Scientists have dubbed the sound the Western Pacific biotwang. Researchers recorded the sound using passive acoustic ocean gliders, autonomous vessels that can travel for months at a time to extreme depths of over 30,000 feet. As for this biotwang, the call lasts between 2.5 and 3.5 seconds. After much speculation, scientists identified the call as a sound produced by dwarf minke whales. In fact, the low-frequency moaning of the Western Pacific biotwang call is typical of baleen whales. They produce a group of regionally specific calls, including boings in the North Pacific and low-frequency pulse trains in the Atlantic. However, scientists don't really know that much about minke whale distribution at low latitudes like this trench. The species is the smallest of the baleen whales, and it doesn't spend much time at the surface, has an inconspicuous blow, and often lives in areas where high seas make sightings difficult. But they call frequently, making them good candidates for acoustic studies like this. Number 14. Squidworm. This bizarre free-swimming worm with up to 10 squid-like limbs is one of a host of strange discoveries that await scientists in the vast, largely unexplored spaces of the trench. The squidworm was discovered using a remotely operated underwater robot exploring the deep waters. Have you ever seen anything like it? A new anatomical and genetic analysis of the squidworm has revealed it to be a segmented worm, just like an earthworm, but its appearance is far stranger. The slimy animal's flattened body is about 3.5 inches long. It possesses 25 or more pairs of translucent white paddles arranged on its sides for swimming and up to 10 fragile tentacle-like appendages at its head that are the same length as its body or longer. The creature is eyeless as well. To make its way around, it relies on frilly organs on its head for smell, and what seems to be structures at the tips of its appendages specialized for touch or smell. Based on gut contents and videos of the squidworm, the researchers suspect that it feeds on marine snow that rains down from the upper layers of the ocean, such as sinking plankton. Although just one species of squidworm is known to date, the scientists expect more to pop up soon. Number 13. Brittle star. Upon first glance, brittle stars may look like starfish, but don't be fooled. They're closely related, but they're completely different species. There are 73 species in the Arctic alone. Brittle stars play a pretty important role in the food web. They're known as seafloor ecosystem engineers, meaning they reshape the sediment shape on the seafloor, which in turn influences the distribution of other seafloor species. Each brittle star has a distinct central disc and 5 skinny, flexible arms. The central disc is made up of a skeleton of calcium carbonate and contains all the internal organs. Brittle stars' arms twist and coil to help them move across the seafloor, but that's not the only thing their arms help with. Brittle stars can release one or more arms to escape predators. As long as a brittle star holds on to its central disc, it can still function, and its limbs will regenerate. And did you know? Brittle star mouths contain not 1, not 2, but 5 jaws. They use their mouths, found on the underbelly of their discs, to munch on small organisms, and they can also filter feed organisms from the ocean water. On the flip side, they're prey for fish, sea stars, and crabs. Brittle stars live in a variety of habitats around the world. Number 12. Deep sea volcano. Experts know that most of the world's volcanic activity actually takes place in the ocean, but most of it goes undetected and unseen. Volcanic activity is not unexpected nor even uncommon. Studying this activity isn't easy. Still, scientists have found something rare and wonderful on the cusp of the Mariana Trench. An underwater volcano experienced a massive eruption, spewing molten magma into the surrounding ocean. Even more spectacularly, at a depth of 2.5 miles, it's the deepest known volcanic eruption ever found on Earth. As the incredibly hot magma meets the water, it begins to rapidly cool. The result? A vast field of volcanic glass. This large field of organic glass reaches 4.5 miles. Earthquakes associated with volcanism are usually small, and most of the instrumentation is far away on land. Many of these areas are deep and don't leave any clues on the surface. That makes submarine eruptions very mysterious. But life finds a way. Typically, after an eruption, there's heat released and venting for a few years, and organisms will colonize the vents, creating a new ecosystem. Whether these volcanoes are long dead, adorned with hydrothermal vents, or erupting hellfire, expeditions like these show a world teeming with life. Number 11. Stygio Medusa. To date, almost nothing is known about this rarely encountered animal aside from detailed accounts of its physical description and rare sightings. This ghostly jelly is informally known as the guardian of the underworld, and despite its size, it's rarely caught on camera. Little is understood about its ecology and behavior. These long draping structures you see in the video aren't stinging tentacles, as you might imagine. They're oral arms, masses of spongy tissues typically used for feeding. The broad, curtain-like arms are perhaps an adaptation that increases the odds of catching their next meal. It's thought that the jellies use these arms to envelop unsuspecting prey. But don't worry, they do not eat humans. It's generally assumed that prey is difficult to locate in the deep sea, and predators have evolved extraordinary means of keeping a hold on prey when it's encountered. This behemoth eats plankton and small fish. Its red coloration helps it stay out of sight against the black backdrop of the deep sea. Down at these depths, the jelly's red light is far too weak to penetrate. With nothing to reflect, it simply disappears. So being able to catch this creature on camera is a rare sight indeed. Now it's time for today's topic. During a recent expedition into the unexplored depths of the Mariana Trench, a deep-sea drone captured footage of a creature that has left scientists speechless. The drone, equipped with high-definition cameras, was exploring a region over 36,000 feet below the surface when it encountered the mysterious being. The footage shows the creature slowly emerging from the darkness, its pale, bulbous body and massive, featureless head illuminated by the drone's lights. The creature, estimated to be over 15 feet long, had smooth, translucent skin and large, unblinking eyes that seemed to reflect the faint light in the abyss. Its movements were slow and deliberate, as if it were studying the drone. The most unsettling part of the footage is the creature's sheer size and its otherworldly appearance, which seems unlike anything previously documented in the ocean. Scientists reviewing the footage have been tight-lipped, only suggesting that it could be a mutant species adapted to the extreme pressures of the trench. However, they have refused to release further details, fueling speculation about what this creature might be. Could it be a new species, a genetic anomaly, or something far more mysterious? For now, the creature remains an enigma, hidden in the uncharted depths of the ocean. Number 10. Creepy giant shark. This unbelievable footage shows a massive shark swimming a mile down, so it's no wonder the footage has given rise to speculation that the long-extinct megalodon still rules the deepest part of the sea. And if you didn't know, not only was the meg the biggest shark in the world, but it was also one of the largest fish ever to exist. It grew to between 40 and 60 feet long, 3 times longer than the largest recorded great white shark. It's estimated that its jaw would span up to 10 feet wide, easily big enough to swallow 2 adult people side by side. And for millions of years, this enormous but very extinct shark dominated the ocean. Could the meg be lurking in the deepest place on Earth even today? Even though it died out some 2.6 million years ago, the video rules this out, stating that the Pacific Ocean would be unlikely to have sufficient food for such a beast at such depths. Plus, this shark was initially thought to be 60 feet long, but it was actually a 6-gill shark which can grow up to 25 feet. Another suggestion says it's a Pacific sleeper shark, which lurks at depths as low as 9,000 feet. Still, it's so strange to think sharks could live down here. Number 9. Pillow lava. Pillow lavas form when hot lava flows into water and cools rapidly, creating long tubes and bulbous pillow-shaped mounds of rock. They're found here in the trench but also under glaciers that overlay volcanoes. They're a classic geological indicator that the area you're standing in was once underwater. First, a flexible glassy crust forms around the newly extruded lava, forming an expanded pillow. Next, pressure builds until the crust breaks, and new basalt extrudes like toothpaste, forming another pillow. These pillow structures are capped by several feet of broken lava fragments from explosive shallow water eruptions. The rapid cooling of the lava by cold water on all sides forms the pillow-shaped bodies, which can then break open and extrude more of the hot lava from inside. The skin cools much faster than the inside of the pillow, so it's very fine-grained with a glassy texture. The magma inside the pillow cools slowly, so it's slightly coarser-grained than the skin. However, pillow lavas only occur along the edges of the flow. Once the pillow growth ceases, failure of the pillow crust leads to the formation of a new pillow at the leading edge of the flow. Number 8. Ping-pong tree sponge. Once you find out about the dark side of this creature, you're going to be surprised. The ping-pong tree sponge belongs to the family of deadly carnivorous sponges. This creature is not what you'd expect, living in the deserts of the deep ocean. This particular sponge species can be found at depths of almost 9,000 feet. It's only a couple of feet tall and is composed of a thin stalk. On the top are stems radiating out from the central body. At the end of each radiating stem is a beautiful, ethereal globule. These globules, while delicate in appearance, are highly specialized for capturing prey in the nutrient-scarce environment of the deep sea. The hook-shaped spicules are made of silica, giving them both strength and flexibility to trap unsuspecting crustaceans. Once a prey item is caught, the sponge secretes enzymes to break down the soft tissues of its victim, absorbing the nutrients directly through its cells. This process can take days, as the sponge slowly digests its meal, ensuring it extracts every bit of energy possible. Interestingly, the ping-pong tree sponge is not entirely dependent on carnivory. It can also absorb dissolved organic matter from the surrounding water, making it a versatile survivor. Its unique feeding strategy has fascinated scientists, as it represents a rare example of a sessile organism actively hunting for food. The sponge's ability to thrive in such an extreme environment highlights the incredible adaptability of life in the deep ocean. But unfortunately, these globules are the true killers. Despite their amazing, beautiful, spectral, and soft looks, those beautiful globules are all covered in tiny hook-shaped spicules. So whenever a tiny crustacean happens to pass by and accidentally touch them, they get trapped in this tiny Velcro-like hook. As the prey continues to struggle to set itself free, the cells inside the ping-pong tree sponge move toward the prey and start consuming the doomed prey while it's still alive. This is pure slow-motion horror by a creature that lacks a digestive cavity. But life is rough in the Mariana Trench, so this sponge has to be ruthless in order to survive. Number 7. Whale fall. Ever heard of it? In a nutshell, it's just a part of the circle of life if you're a whale. A whale fall occurs when the carcass of a whale has fallen into the ocean floor at a depth greater than 3,300 feet. But there's a bright side to this. On the seafloor, these carcasses can create complex localized ecosystems that supply sustenance to deep-sea organisms for decades. The process begins with scavengers like hagfish and sleeper sharks, which strip the soft tissue from the carcass within weeks or months. Once the flesh is gone, smaller organisms like crabs and amphipods move in to feed on the remaining scraps. Over time, bacteria break down the whale's bones, releasing nutrients like sulfur and lipids into the surrounding water. These nutrients attract specialized organisms, such as bone-eating worms called ostacs, which burrow into the bones to extract energy. Some species found at whale falls are so unique that they exist nowhere else on Earth, making these sites critical for studying deep-sea biodiversity. The decomposition process also creates chemical gradients that support chemosynthetic bacteria, which in turn form the base of a food web for other deep-sea creatures. Incredibly, a single whale fall can support hundreds of species, many of which are still unknown to science. This is unlike in shallower waters, where a whale carcass will be consumed by scavengers over a wide variety of organisms from across the deep sea to feast. Even cooler, whale falls are places of evolutionary novelty, sheltering species first discovered on the bones of dead whales. These species have adapted to live in the extreme environment of the deep sea, a cold region of immense pressure and intense darkness. Down here, most creatures subsist on dead and decaying material that falls from the surface, forming marine snow, dead plankton, dead animal shells, and other inorganic material. But every so often, something larger reaches the seafloor. Deep-sea biologists liken the arrival of a whale fall to a Thanksgiving buffet. In short, a whale fall is a feast in this typically nutrient-poor region of the ocean. Number 6. Predatory tunicate. Most tunicates have a relaxing life, sucking water in and filtering out plankton. Not this sea creature. This sea squirt is unique for its predatory feeding style. Whereas other tunicates nourish themselves by filter feeding, the predatory tunicate waits around until some delicious minuscule marine life swims by. It's a great big mouth on a stalk, like a hungry sock puppet. Meet the mouth that lives on the ocean floor and in your nightmares. Its translucent body makes it nearly invisible in the dim light of the deep sea, giving it the perfect camouflage to ambush unsuspecting prey. The predatory tunicate's mouth is lined with tiny, hair-like structures that help trap its prey once the mouth snaps shut. Scientists have observed that these creatures are surprisingly patient, sometimes waiting hours or even days for the right meal to come along. Their ability to survive in such nutrient-scarce environments is a testament to their highly efficient feeding strategy. Interestingly, their stalks are made of a tough, fibrous material that anchors them securely to the seafloor, even in areas with strong currents. Predatory tunicates are often found in clusters, creating eerie forests of mouths on the ocean floor, each waiting for its next meal. These clusters can provide shelter for other small marine organisms, making them an important part of the deep-sea ecosystem. When little creatures wander in, the big mouth closes. Once they've sucked their food in, they reset the trap and wait for more. This strategy allows the predatory tunicate to eat small prey who might be swimming about just above the seafloor. A tiny crustacean might not seem like much to us, but compared to the microscopic organisms that are the food of their shallow water cousins, a meal that we can actually see is quite the feast. However, Collecting predatory tunicates from their home depths of up to 3,300 feet can be a difficult task, as they'll perish when removed from the surface to which they've anchored. But once in aquariums, the tunicates can survive for up to 2 years. Number 5. Snailfish. They look like ghosts of the abyss, but the wispy pinkish-white, smooth-skinned creatures at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean's Mariana Trench have a distinction. They're the deepest fish ever brought up from the deep sea. The Mariana snailfish, they don't look very robust or strong for living in such an extreme environment, but they're extremely successful. Scientists took a close look at the physiology of the fish and ran DNA tests to make sure the population they sampled was sufficiently distinct from other types of fish to be designated as a newly found species. They discovered that Mariana snailfish thrive in the depths of the Mariana Trench, living off tiny crustaceans and shrimp that they suck into their mouths. Their bodies are uniquely adapted to withstand the crushing pressure of the deep sea, which is over 1,000 times greater than at the surface. Unlike most fish, their bones are soft and flexible, preventing them from breaking under such extreme conditions. They also produce specialized proteins that stabilize their cells and prevent them from collapsing under pressure. Another fascinating adaptation is their lack of a swim bladder, a common organ in fish that would implode at such depths. Instead, they rely on their gelatinous bodies to maintain buoyancy and move effortlessly through the water. The snailfish's ability to thrive in such an inhospitable environment has made them a subject of great interest for scientists studying how life can exist in extreme conditions. Their discovery has also raised questions about what other undiscovered species might be lurking in the deepest parts of the ocean. These fish are a testament to the resilience of life, showing how organisms can evolve to survive in even the most hostile environments. They swim at depths of up to 26,000 feet. Here, they're free of predators, and the funnel shape of the trench means there's much more food. There are lots of invertebrate prey, and the snailfish are the top predator, so they're active and look very well fed. We think of it as a harsh environment because it's extreme for us, but there's a whole group of organisms that are very happy down there. Number 4. Vampire squid. You'd expect the vampire squid to be a fearsome predator terrorizing the deep. This isn't the case. It eats drifting particles called marine snow, using 2 long, sticky filaments. It doesn't seem like much food to fuel a foot-long cephalopod, but it's enough for its slow lifestyle in dark, low-oxygen water with few predators. But believe it or not, though it resembles both, the vampire squid is neither a squid nor an octopus. However, its scientific name means the vampire squid from hell. Clearly, whoever gave this sea animal its name had a sense of humor. The vampire squid is uniquely adapted to survive in the oxygen minimum zone, a layer of the ocean where oxygen levels are too low for most animals to survive. Its blood contains a special type of hemocyanin, which allows it to extract oxygen from water more efficiently than most other marine creatures. This adaptation enables it to thrive in areas where predators are scarce, giving it a significant survival advantage. The vampire squid's gelatinous body is another adaptation, allowing it to conserve energy by floating effortlessly in the water. Its large eyes, which are proportionally the largest of any animal in the ocean, help it detect faint traces of light in the pitch-black depths. Despite its eerie appearance, the vampire squid is a gentle creature, relying on its bioluminescent displays to confuse predators rather than engaging in direct combat. Scientists are fascinated by its unique evolutionary traits, as it represents a living link between ancient cephalopods and modern-day squids and octopuses. And when it's disturbed, the vampire squid inverts its cape, displaying large spines that line the underside of its arms. The vampire squid can literally turn itself inside out to avoid predators. But unlike shallow water squids and octopuses, these creatures do not expel black ink to escape attack. In the darkness of the trench, black or dark purple ink would not be effective. Instead, the vampire squid expels a colorless substance that contains numerous particles of light-producing material. These twinkling lights are very confusing to prey down here. In addition to the light produced during their defense response, vampire squids produce light at the tips of each of their arms. Number 3. Plastic bag. Did you know that at least 8 million tons of plastic enter the world's oceans every year? And if this continues, there will be more plastic than fish in the ocean by 2050. This submarine and its mothership, along with its extraordinarily talented expedition team, took marine technology to a ridiculously higher new level by diving into the deepest, harshest area of the ocean. It was disappointing, to say the least, to find this. A retired naval officer completed the deepest ever solo underwater dive recently, but when he reached the bottom of the Challenger Deep in the Mariana Trench, he found, you guessed it, a plastic bag 35,000 feet below the surface. That bag traveled a long way. Nobody was too surprised, however. The presence of plastic at such depths highlights the far-reaching impact of human activity on even the most remote and untouched parts of the planet. Scientists have found microplastics embedded in deep-sea sediments, showing that these pollutants are not just floating on the surface but are sinking to the ocean floor. These plastics can break down into smaller particles over time, potentially entering the food chain and affecting deep-sea organisms. The discovery of plastic in the trench has sparked renewed calls for stricter regulations on waste management and single-use plastics. It also raises questions about how long these materials can persist in such extreme environments, where decomposition is incredibly slow. The expedition team noted that the plastic bag was likely decades old, a sobering reminder of how long our waste lingers in the environment. Despite the disappointment of finding trash, the dive also provided valuable data on the trench's unique ecosystem, including sightings of strange, translucent creatures adapted to the crushing pressure. The deep-sea explorer made the trip as part of his 5 Deeps expedition. He crisscrossed all over the bottom, looking for different wildlife, potentially unique geological formations of rocks, man-made objects, and yes, trying to see if there was an even deeper location than where other explorations went all the way back to 1960. And this researcher isn't the first person to find plastic at the bottom of the ocean's deepest trench. Recent research discovered at least 3,000 pieces of litter in the trench. Number 2. Hollywood film directors. At nearly 7 miles below the water surface, the Mariana Trench is the deepest spot in the Earth's ocean, and this is where director and explorer James Cameron recently reached the bottom in a manned craft. If you don't know who that is, he directed the Titanic and Avatar films. For the dive, Cameron himself designed a 24-foot submersible vehicle, the Deep Sea Challenger. It looks like a long green torpedo that moves vertically through the water. Cameron was able to make his descent through a window that was about 9.5 inches thick. To reach the ocean floor, the submersible relied on 2 536-pound weights to pull the craft down. The journey to the bottom took about 2 hours and 36 minutes, making Cameron the first solo diver to reach such depths. Once there, he described the seafloor as a desolate, alien-like landscape, with fine sediment and no obvious signs of large life forms. However, he did observe small, shrimp-like creatures and collected samples of sediment and water for further study. The extreme pressure at that depth is over 1,000 times greater than at the surface, meaning the submersible had to be engineered to withstand unimaginable forces. Cameron also noted the eerie silence of the trench, broken only by the occasional creaks and groans of the submersible as it adjusted to the pressure. The data and footage collected during the dive have provided scientists with valuable insights into one of the least explored regions of our planet. Cameron later described the experience as both humbling and exhilarating, likening it to visiting another world. To rise later, the weights were disconnected from the craft, something Cameron did after about 3 hours of exploration. This is how Cameron described his call to his ship after reaching his destination. Surface: this is Deep Sea Challenger. I'm on the bottom. Depth is 35,756 feet. Life support's good. Everything looks good. On the ocean floor, Cameron used the submersible thrusters to take a look around. He also had many cameras on board, as you would expect from someone who directs blockbuster movies. Number 1. Hatchet fish. You probably won't have these guys in your aquarium at home, even though they can be found in all the major oceans. Here in the trench, there isn't enough light, so hatchetfish have a very good set of eyes. They even point upwards to some extent so that they can look skyward and soak up as much light as possible. Prey such as small crustaceans and fish can be spotted by the shadow they cast. It uses these silhouettes to find prey. And these little beasts have another trick that makes them all the more ghostly. Their bioluminescent abilities are not just for camouflage. They also use them to communicate with other hatchetfish, signaling potential mates or warning rivals. Scientists believe that their light organs are so precise that they can mimic the exact wavelength of light filtering down from the surface, making them nearly undetectable to predators below. Hatchetfish are also known to perform vertical migrations, traveling hundreds of feet upward at night to feed in richer waters before retreating to the safety of the depths during the day. This daily journey is a survival strategy that allows them to avoid predators while still accessing food. Despite their small size, usually no more than a few inches long, their adaptations make them one of the most efficient hunters in the deep sea. Their thin, blade-like bodies also help them move stealthily through the water, reducing drag and making them harder to spot. These remarkable adaptations have made the hatchetfish a subject of fascination for marine biologists studying life in the deep ocean. Its bright and thin silver body is highly polished and reflects the slightest of ambient light, and is a surprising type of camouflage in the deep, dark waters. Found at middle depths from 2,000 feet to the seabed and migrating up at night, its light organs outlining its body, called photophores. Their underside is covered in bioluminescent organs that can emit blue light of just the right intensity such that the fish disappears into the surrounding twilight. With this cloaking device, they remain safe and sound right above their enemies' noses. Plus, they can adjust the intensity of their underbelly lights to make them nearly invisible against the faint light above. These videos show that there's an incredible amount of life in the Mariana Trench, but there's still so much more to discover. We'll leave that to the experts and enjoy the amazing content they share. If you're here, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video.